How do we get there?
How do we get there?
What do you see that needs to change? Because it's almost like a collective change needs to happen, but that means a coordination. And how do you coordinate?
No. So I'm still definitely Austrian and libertarian in coordination. Cool. So my position is that if you be the change you want to see in the world, sort of thing. And what that means is, if you are a Bitcoiner and if you are one of these people that will likely see a disproportionate increase in your social and economic status, then you don't have to worry too much about money. What you actually have to worry about is becoming a virtuous person. So you should build that in yourself and
why
should you?
Because I'm testing you because you're saying you should, but why should you? If I, as a free man, don't want to, I just want to be a fat slob who drives around in a Lambo, and why shouldn't I?
If you agree, okay, so fair. If you agree that things like time preference and lowering time preference are a good thing, if you agree that there are problems in the world today, that we live in an age of weak men create bad times, if you agree that we need to hold ourselves to better standards, be more responsible, seek greater excellence, and if you agree that these kind of virtues are important to embody, then you should. If you don't, if you're of the opinion that you should be a fat slob and you should just spend
it's not that
all that sort of stuff, then you should.
So I agree, I should, and I want to, but I can't be bothered. I'm not saying I am that. I'm just saying, how will how does this happen?
I'm trying to get clear on your question though. It's
so
because if you agree that it's good, then you should do it.
But what I'm saying is, money makes life comfortable, makes life easier. There's a lot of distractions I can imagine coming with money. Like if I was worth 20 million pounds, Aleks, I could tell you where I start spending that money. I'd have these great holidays, and then these become distractions from being that person. And what I'm trying to say to you, I think the point I'm trying to get to is, maybe nothing changes. It's just a different money and a different, there's a transition of wealth from one group to another, and the next group is just the same.
Possibly. So there's two parts to that thing that I think you're asking me here is why should I? I could just go on holidays. I could just eat whenever I want. I can just be fat, lazy, and I've got everything I want. I can just get hookers and coke, right, and do whatever I want. And you could, but we sort of all know what that sort of path leads to, right? It leads to
happiness.
Maybe fleeting happiness in the moment.
Yeah, no,
that's what I mean. So you end up you pay a longer term price for the shorter term thing, right? And this is again, it's the you mentioned about the Oreos. You eat the Oreos now, you feel good, and then later you feel like shit.
Maybe as humans, that's how we are. Maybe our brain is taught that way. Maybe whatever it is. If you think about the evolution of humans and animals,
look, it
was about food. Food was the number one thing every day. Where do I get my food? And then we found ways to collect food, right? And then we found a way to collect possessions. And then when you have money, you've made all that easier.
You've got all the food you could ever want. Yeah, you solved your problem. Yeah.
And I want a world of people who are virtuous, who have lived by a very strong moral code, who are good parents. But for some reason, it's not happening. And that's what I'm trying to get to. Is I'm agreeing with you, but at the same time, kind of cynical about whether we will actually see any change.
Whether we'll see any change. Okay.
Yeah.
So the tendency is to fall into entropy. Entropy is fucking easy. It's just sit back and do nothing, right? So the question is there a higher calling for us? And I believe there is. You watch someone perform a great feat. Just even the sense of inspiration. You fucking bought a football team.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel when they have performed excellent? Or they've fucking put in sacrifice, training and everything, and they actually win something.
Love it, man. There's no greater feeling in the world.
There you go. So that's what I'm talking about. So it's like we have that inside us, and that's kind of the balancing force against entropy. So you sort of, entropy is like this idea of, just don't do anything, but that's not inspiring. So we sort of have this spark inside us that incentivizes us in the opposite direction, but we actually have to exert effort or exert energy to sort of move in that direction. And this whole philosophy of a warrior sort of ethic is that you recognize that, and I'm sorry, but you fucking force yourself to get up and actually practice the things that you have to practice. Like, if you want to be the best football player, you're going to have to go out and fucking kick goals. You're going to have to go out and practice. You're going to have to go out and do sprints. You're going to have to exert the effort, even when you don't want to. If you want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger and fucking win Mr. Olympia 8 times, you have to get in the gym and you have to lift weights. So this is a call to do that. Now, to your point, will people do that? Will that happen on a Bitcoin standard? I have some hope, because one of the issues we have in the current standard is that because material wealth, like the money, is just able to be printed by someone, you end up getting a skewing of the game. It's like if we're playing poker, right? And a good poker player, is prudent, doesn't go all in all the fucking time, reads the game. Like he actually tries to employ a bunch of skill in the process of playing the game. But if one of the players on the table was just going in all the fucking time, going all in every single time. No. But whether he went all in and fucking lost or won, the dealer just gave him a bunch more chips.
Okay.
Right? So the game's rigged like that.
We're talking about government.
Correct. So what happens to the game is that if you're someone smart on the fucking table, instead of playing a smart poker game or a prudent poker game, which might actually involve some of these virtues, prudence, patience, etc., you'll actually make friends with this dude and say, look, I don't know, fucking do something for you, but you give me some of your chips each time you go in, and we'll both do something here. So like it changes the incentives of the game for them to become friends with that. Now, on a Bitcoin standard, so to sort of tie this all together, is like why I think, living on a Bitcoin standard may actually help here, is that if you are a rich elite and you just go and like get fat, become a slob or whatever, the chances are that because we have a fixed amount of money, and the money sort of filters through, younger, hungrier, more prudent people or individuals or groups of people might actually outcompete you and actually suck the amount of Bitcoin and bring it over. And that may create a scenario where you might actually have an incentive to adapt your behavior, because you're losing money, you're burning it, and you can't just print it from someone, and you just can't use political methodology to bail out your poor decision making. So that's my hope. So that's why I think something might, but I still think we can't just rely purely on the economic incentives. And this is why I'm writing this whole thing, which is, hey, Bitcoiners, like, we're talking about low time preference. We're talking about being better individuals. We're talking about revolution. There's actually more that we have to develop than just getting the economics piece fixed up, is that we actually have to start to embody, practice, inculcate these virtues. And we need to develop a praxis, so a set of practices around trying to develop these. And I've put forward 11. Someone might disagree. They might say, well, no, I don't think excellence is a good virtue, or whatever the fuck they might. Build your own fucking set of virtues and develop those. But we have to do something. And it doesn't need to be enforced, you mentioned before, like a coordination level or a government level or something. No. You need to be the change you need to see in the world. You need to develop this for you. And you should be doing this for yourself. And you should be going out and inculcating it into your children if you want them to continue lineage and actually have, I would argue, a higher possibility of economic and personal success in the future, if they were to have these values and also have sound money. Sort of my theory.
Well, I do agree with you. I'm always beating myself up about these things, Aleks, all the time. Like, I should be better, I should do better, make better decisions, be a better person. Like, I do. When I hear you talk about the warrior class, I think there is a bit of a contradiction in that with who you are as well, in that a warrior class is a form of army, and an army is an expression of a state of some kind. It is a group of people collectively working together. So whether they are within a geography or going into a new geography, it is a state. And as somebody who is libertarian, that doesn't work for you. So
it's a challenging one.
Yeah, it's a really challenging one, because what you're saying is the thing you like is the thing you are against.
I think there's a big misconception. I'm evolving my position, so
you've become a status cuck.
Maybe.
No, because listen. So the point I'm trying to get to is that when people are like, "Pete, you're a status cuck," it's like, no, I believe in democracy. I don't think we have democracy right now. I think we have crony capitalism. I think we have a corrupt system where the incentives are completely fucking screwed, right? But on a sound money standard, the centralizing force that helps coordinate society and maybe educates people, it cannot print money. It can. You cannot have, certainly to the levels we have now, of the kind of corruption and crony capitalism, perverse incentives. They kind of hopefully go away. And so within that, then maybe there is a change to the education system or the way we educate. Like, that is what is my hope, is that that's what we get from this, that we become a better functioning society, that within that we as humans, we realize like that we have to pick up a shovel, and we have to teach someone to pick up a shovel, and we have to teach a moral framework to live by. Like, I'm not religious, but I love the moral frameworks that religions have.
Totally.
And so kind of I know myself, I have to do this myself with my children. I have to teach them now. But I see so many other children, they're not going to be taught this right now because they're not open to this. And so I believe in what you're saying. I had to pull it, all the different threads on it.
Yeah, I mean, there is big outstanding questions like, okay, all these virtues are important, blah blah. So how do you do this? And I think this is sort of where it gets we have to sort of think through. How do I put it? Like, how do you try and emulate without having to go out and essentially kill each other in battle? How do we emulate some of that stuff? And I mean, there's a lot of cool shit happening in sort of like there's subcultures of the manosphere, right? There's a lot of like sort of Christian oriented men sort of groups growing, and when men hang around with men and they have some sort of mission, that mission could be to develop more courage or to develop more self-control or to do all this sort of stuff. They actually either inspire or they shame each other into becoming better, and they actually drive each other up. It's the whole iron sharpens iron thing. And I think that's a far better, more grassroots method of doing this. So it's like, if we kind of used to do that obviously in battle, but that sort of evolved to doing it in the cafe or the pub. Like, we would talk about ideas and we would sort of push each other, and those sorts of associations are really important. And the associations of women doing their own thing, like the feminine nature and the masculine nature are very different. Like, the masculine sort of grows through competition, the feminine grows through praise. So they have their own thing to do. So I'm more speaking in a masculine dimension here, is that if you were to hang around, like if your friends group was a bunch of, say, people that were more like me in a physical capacity, like that were really strict with how they eat, when they train, and all this sort of stuff, and you hung out with that kind of a group for a year, you wouldn't have this fucking problem anymore.